Hello, and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person. And today I want to talk to you about Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I did not really need to get it physically because, well, you'll find out. But I did. I've got obviously the Xbox Series X version here. I mean, it works on Xbox One as well, but you know, I played it on a Series X, so that's what's over there. Well, that's a TV. You understand how this works, I hope. And as this is another review in the Black Ops series, I've been doing all these Black Ops games up until this point. Again, I'll assume you're kind of either up to speed already, or there's a previous reviews to check out if you want to be up to speed on my actual reviews. But yeah, basically, I'm talking about this and the footage. I guess the only other thing to bring up as like a preface here is the footage you're getting is gonna probably just be from the campaign because, well, it takes a while for any of these things to like show you anything interesting. I guess you can probably look up the other stuff anyways, but I just want to show you the footage from there as much as I can. So I think that's really all we have to do to preface. Either there's a written review, I'll link that in the description, that good stuff. And also keep in mind when this review is coming out. We're in February of 2025 right now. So if anything gets patched or changed or whatever since then, obviously I can't use a time machine to know that. So we're working off of what we have right here. I think that's all we need to do to get into it. Let's go. So starting with this campaign in Black Ops 6, this takes place mostly in the 90s. And it's still kind of following some of these some characters you're familiar with, like Frank Woods and Adler. Basically, I don't want to give away too much of the plot on this because these campaigns are kind of living and dying on a lot of the plot stuff. So I'm gonna do my best not to give too much for spoilery things. But essentially, it's in the 90s. You're on this. Basically, end up being forming this kind of like ragtag group that was kind of working with like the CIA, and they end up having to kind of go rogue and sort of go off the grid because there's something is up. You're trying to figure out what it is, and to do so, well, you just can't rely on the institutions anymore to help you and be your friend and protect you. So they're kind of get this group of a few different people in a holing up in this safe house, and then going on these different missions trying to uncover the truth about essentially some kind of weird project with some kind of bioweapon that's being planned. What's going on here? Who's behind it? Who's pulling strings? What is it? These are all kind of the mystery that you're trying to figure out along the way. This time there are there's a mix of different kinds of missions here. So there's some regular action stuff, like you're used to in typical Call of Duty games. There are also some stealth missions make an occurrence again as well, where you're going around, sneaking around, taking on enemies stealthily. You do usually have the option to also go loud here as well if you mess up the stealth thing, but you also can sometimes go back into hiding and people might just be on alert, but they don't know where you are necessarily. So there's kind of like a more of a flow to that. There's also like this like body armor system. You can pick up these pieces of body armor along the way, and if it gets destroyed, you can put more on and whatever. So like that's another new little thing here as you're going along. You can also do these upgrades between these missions in the little safe house area, and this is where you can get money because there's little things of money that are all along. Basically hidden throughout the levels. There's places you can just find little sums of money to pick up and take back with you, and you use that money to buy upgrades in the safe house area between missions. And you can upgrade, to give you basically a lot of like better like stats and perks and things, and make yourself stronger for each successive mission as you go forward. You can also replay missions if you want to look for things and try to do things or whatever. But it is a linear game. There's not like really like branching paths really, or like there's not multiple endings as far as I'm aware, and I looked this up a little bit. Apparently there's not like different endings, so while you can have some freedom of tackling the levels in ways that you want to, the way things play out is going to be the same. So you don't have to worry about like multiple endings or the bad ending, the good ending, whatever, the canon ending. On top of the regular missions and like stealth stuff, there's also a few other things in here. There are times when you're actually just kind of like walking around where you're doing stuff like more casually, non-lethally, trying to do things, solving some puzzles like figuring out, unlocking keypads with different combinations and finding combinations to safes. by like tuning radios to a thing or whatever. And I don't know, there's a few different like puzzle things you can do. There's a big grand puzzle thing you can do in the safe house as well if you'd like. A totally optional thing for some extra cash. And there's gets to like throw some of the stuff out there too. Like also like this there's a mission where it's like an open world mission where essentially you go in and there's 3 main things you have to do. You can do that whenever order you want, and a bunch of optional things. You can do those also if you feel like. You don't have to. You can do some, but not others. You'll usually get some kind of rewards and things for doing it. But you have pretty much free reign to go around and if you want to go loud or go quiet, if you want to be sniping people from afar, if you want to be sneaking in there, or just want to go guns ablazing, whatever. You have lots of different like options there. It's very open. So that whole like section is an open world section, but it's just for like that level. And then there's like there's a mission where you're like basically pulling off like this heist of a casino, and like you're going in, and so you're actually taking control of different characters throughout this, being different ones, like doing the different things. And some of it's like more out on the floor doing stuff, talking to people, and there's stuff where you're going around sneaking in and shooting people up and whatever. There's a whole on like hacking into stuff, whatever, in the back. There's blowing yourself out of there once you've gone into the safe. You have to really gunfight your way back out. So really, there's a mission like that where it's kind of like a mix of everything. There's also like this mission where like there's some unsettling some mindfucky stuff in there, incorporating stuff with zombies in here as well. Completely like some zombie bosses. There's these creepy parts of like mannequins that only like move when you're like not facing them. There's that stuff, so kind of like some little bit of like horror stuff thrown in there as well. And so there's definitely a variety of different types of missions and things. Also some like a little bit of vehicle combat in there as well. So there's definitely a variety of things thrown into for you, with also again like the safe house stuff and whatever in between there as well. And ultimately it all kind of just leads to the conclusion that I can't really say anything about where the story goes or what it does. But there's that. That it happens. I don't think there's anything else I need to really say for that stuff. But then there's the multiplayer. And the multiplayer here, once again, is a little more stripped down type of multiplayer, basic stuff like Cold War was. There's no pick 10 or specialists or any of that stuff. It's pretty much your guns, your gunsmith, you get a wild card, and some perks. You unlock stuff, different weapons and equipment and all this as you level up and get XP. And you get more stuff, unlocks for the weapons by using the weapons, etc., etc. So there's, basically it's kind of just standard stuff. Again, you have like a little like quick play menu. You can customize what you want for the quick play stuff. And there's a few other modes you can select from to do basic modes. And I believe there were a couple of modes here that were new. So let me pull that up real quick. I believe there was only a couple though. There wasn't like a lot of new modes. One of them is Kill Order, which has the thing where you have like the basically it's kind of like having the VIP mission a bit like that, but making it more like a team deathmatch version. So basically, it's team deathmatch, but each team will get one high value target. An HVT or person will be them, and they'll have extra armor, and you get some points for surviving as the HVT, but killing the HVT gives you bonus points towards your score, like basically it's again like once somebody dies and another person randomly is selected, they become the high value target. So it just kind of cycles like that. So otherwise it is kind of like it's a spin on team deathmatch. Then there's something called Overdrive, which essentially is kind of like, again, team deathmatch, but, doing special kills and more impressive things will get you more points, because they're like, whatever, medal-worthy kills. They'll give you more points, so basically it's, again, trying to get the most points for that. So doing fancier, cooler, more valuable kills will be better than just getting a bunch of them, necessarily, that are, like, super easy, is kind of the idea. Other than that, though, like I said, it's mostly standard stuff like you're used to. And then for zombies, I feel like zombies is sort of changed a bit. It's still similar to Cold War zombies a bit, but just in the round-based mode. You only have round-based zombies here. But there are three things of mention here to keep in mind. So there is a standard, directed, and well, like a single player kind of thing you can do for these. So the solo one is just that you can start up any of these maps, or whatever, by yourself. And if you're starting it by yourself, you can actually save and like quit and then come back to it later if you want to. That's an option you have when you're playing like by yourself. Another thing here is that it's like standard and directed are basically the same thing. As far as what you're doing in the maps and how you're playing is still round based go until like either until you die or until you can get the copter to leave there. Although with or I believe there's still the ultimate like you do everything and then you get the final like thing you do, and I think you can just leave and you just win if you get that. At least in directed mode you for sure do that. So essentially standard mode is where you start off like normal and then you just kind of go like you average, buying stuff, whatever, through doors and whatever. Actually, I think that one of the little differences from Cold War is that also you don't really pick up ammo as much. Usually you have to actually still buy ammo now. But most of the other trappings of it are still pretty similar with the different machines and things you go to craft stuff and buy and whatever to do those things are pretty similar. And in standard mode, you kind of just start off and you just kind of go. Whereas in directed mode, a difference is that a few differences. One is that it gives you little like checkpoint things. It shows you little markers of the objective markers. That's what they're called. They give you objective markers for all of these things that you're doing, and so you can kind of like basically shows you the story beats for all this stuff, what you should be doing. I think there are also some more hidden Easter egg type stuff that like it's not showing you. It's just this is just the main stuff. But it goes through all of those and kind of points you in the direction to do those things. And basically in directed mode for sure, like as you're going through, once you get all those things done, you actually will win and you'll finish it. So there's like win conditions for that. The other thing is that also there are round caps. So basically like in standard mode, as rounds go on, enemies get harder and harder and there's more of them. They're more aggressive. But in directed mode, as you're doing certain objectives, the round kind of caps. So as you finish more objectives, the round cap goes up. And essentially, you still complete rounds, but then the next round will be the same difficulty as the round was before once it, if it's at the cap. So it never gets too hard. That's kind of the idea. But otherwise, yeah, pretty much similar zombie stuff. They do have a bit of a different system for progressing now in there, where you can still like use there's still some cross progression with leveling and stuff. So that still works between multiplayer and zombies. And you have like your shoving like your weapons and stuff. But like also like in zombies, there's now like some of these upgrades where you can like augment stuff. Which are kind of the new upgrades, and those are just kind of done like over time, getting experience and stuff while you have these things selected for like a research tab. So you can research things like your like ammo types or your special ability, or field upgrade is what it's called, your field upgrade, or upgrade the perks and what they do. Those are kind of like your options to kind of slowly upgrade those things, and you can apply those augments, a primary and a secondary augment. Also, gobblegums are back, but you have like limited amounts of them. You get them through playing and like I think it's reaching certain rounds or doing certain things or whatever, and just randomly be given some of these gobblegums you can use. So those temporary things, whatever, like you eat them, the temporary one use power up things in there. Those make a return. So those are also in here. Also, I think that I don't know if this is new or if I just didn't notice it in the previous one, but you can also do a thing where you just put money towards a door or pay half of a door, and then you can like have other people pick up the rest of it. That's a new thing, I think. Maybe it was in the last one. I never saw it, but that's a thing that I noticed. So there's also that. But otherwise, zombies is zombies, as usual. So I would say that for positives for this game, the campaign is fantastic. I really, really like the campaign. I was surprised how good it is. And I think what it does really well is not only is it like a good length of a campaign, I think the variety, and also particularly like the variety along with how much time they dedicate to that variety is very good. There are multiple stealth sections, there are multiple regular run and gun sections. There's really only like a couple of like mindfucky sections, but you don't really probably want too much of that anyways because of what that does. I think that they just do a really good job. And there's only like there's that open world section, but there's only the one level that's like that. So if you don't like it, you can just go for the objectives and like that's it. And don't worry about the secondary stuff. I think that's all really good. It makes it so that it never feels like a gimmick. It always feels like it always feels real and like I don't know, real. It always feels like it feels like it matters. I guess it doesn't feel like they just threw it in there. Like we need to have a little bit of this, right? Like I said, Cold War that had kind of a short campaign. I feel like it didn't do enough with it. Here, I think there's enough with the stealth sections and the fact that you can also stealth is optional. You can go in and out of stealth a little bit as well. I think that's a really really cool thing. I think that like just the amount of time you spend in these things makes it feel like they're worthwhile without overstaying their welcome, and it feels like actual like this was something they designed as part of like the core mechanics, not a gimmick or like a fun like do this thing and this is just what you're doing right now and just riding the roller coaster ride. I think they did a very good job with that. Very very good. The way the upgrades work, it made me want to explore the levels more to find the money to buy my upgrades and stuff between there. That was really cool. The way they kind of implemented some of these puzzles multiple times throughout the levels was neat as well. Um, again, like I felt like everything kind of went in here. The open world part was really, really fun to go in and just like scour the world and do what I wanted to, like sniping people from out here and tackling this and then getting cool power ups and stuff and things that would actually ultimately help me with like the following mission part to come. That was really cool. The casino part was awesome because then like just being able to play as different characters and being like doing these different things for their different like specialties and like taking control of the characters while they're doing the fun stuff, the interesting stuff. I think that was done really, really well. And like helps you feel more connected to the group, especially when you have the in between bits where you can talk to them and stuff. I also think acting is very good here, and I think it hits a little bit harder because they also don't have like tons of cutscenes. Most of the stuff you're seeing where they're interacting with each other and talking and stuff, it is like in-game engine, and it just feels a little more realistic. And also they really earn that when it's like later on, right, when they have like this part where the house gets like invaded by people. It feels more like, oh shit, this was my safe house and now people like are invading it. I'm actually like fighting here. That's like I think they really earn the feeling of doing that as well. It's all done very very well. It's a very good campaign. Probably up there with maybe my top 5 Call of Duty campaigns. It's a very very good campaign. I really really like it. I was definitely very impressed with it. It was just tons of fun, and also very good. And then I don't know, like multiplayer. Again, it's multiplayer and zombies are fine. There's not really nothing wrong with them. I don't think really. Multiplayer is very fun. Again, having it more stripped down means like you'll be able to play all these different modes. There's like fewer modes I think than some other multiplayer offerings, but also they're ones that people will probably play more. Then it means that with less like different things to jump into of like here's like 50 different like slightly different modes. Having a more focused list means more people will be filling up those lobbies and playing those games, and I think that's probably a good thing. And it's just, core mechanics are still absolutely solid, so the multiplayer is really good. They actually had the new thing, and I totally forgot to mention because I don't use it enough, is the Omni movement thing, where basically you have like now the 2 big parts of this. That one is that you can now sprint in any direction, forward, backward, left, and right. You can sprint. You can also not only slide, but also dive, depending on if you tap or hold the crouch button when you're running. And there's also the tactical sprint, which if you double tap the sprint button, you can do an extra fast sprint. And that's not infinite like your normal sprint now is. It's a little bit more limited, but that's a new thing as well. And that really ramps up in the multiplayer. Having this extra bits of movement and just being able to maneuver yourself more. I do think that it definitely, like, while I'm not very good at it and I oftentimes don't take advantage of it, I do think it is a nice thing forward, especially sometimes you're running away and you want to keep your momentum, but you want to be able to look behind you and be like, is somebody on my ass? I think that's cool. I think they do a good job with that. And they try to like show you how to do it with a little bit of tutorial thing if you want to learn how to do it as well, which I did do. It didn't help me much, but at least I knew it was there for a while until I forgot again. I was like, oh yeah, if I double tap it, I could do the tack sprint, right. And then there's, for the zombies, I think they've done a decent job of trying to pull this together. Like, I think having the solo thing where you can save and quit whenever you want and then come back, I think that's a very good idea for people who have, maybe not the largest chunk of time to play at a time, can still experience the zombie stuff, even if it is by themselves. Having a direction mode is also good to learn the maps and what you should be doing and looking for the main stuff, and also making it so it's not super difficult so that newcomers can play that and not just immediately feel like overwhelmed and destroyed, while having standard mode as an option to like still, standard mode I think is good in that it is giving you more hardcore players the more difficult challenge they want, and things keep getting harder and harder and ramping up like they're used to. I think it's kind of it kind of mixes together and creates this like that tries to create the perfect zombies experience for you. But that's also, I think, maybe should bring up some of the downsides here. That's one of the downsides, is that it feels both the zombies and the multiplayer feel kind of like they were focus grouped a bit, and it's like, okay, so zombies, well, what do people want out of this thing? And it's like, well, the hardcore people want this, but the more casual people want this. So we'll kind of pull back some of the stuff we did in Cold War to make it appeal to more classic zombies fans, but we'll also keep some of the stuff that made things easier, whatever, for the more casual players. And I think what you end up with is kind of a forgettable experience. Like I say, it's good, but there's nothing really real noteworthy about it, so I don't think anyone's going to remember this as like their favorite one, unless they just happen to, this is the one they either played first or are putting the most hours into, like with their friends or something. And multiplayer is kind of the same. There's not as many different modes to play in, and it just kind of feels like, yeah, I mean, this is the multiplayer stuff most people will play, and it's good and it's fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, there's nothing particularly great about that either. It's just a solid multiplayer. So they're things that are they're good for now. There's nothing really wrong with them, but they think they kind of lack any like noteworthy things. And as the series goes forward, I believe these will probably be quickly forgotten for things that are, whether they're better or worse, are more memorable than these. The campaign I don't really have like many complaints for, honestly. Like I say, the campaign was very good. The only things I maybe would bring up are that like there were a couple times I had where the game glitched out on me and I had to like reload a checkpoint because it wouldn't do anything. It didn't full on freeze or crash, but I couldn't do anything, so that was a problem. I need to be able to do things to, do things. And I don't know. There's some weird audio stuff that may be my headset, maybe, but there are a few times where the audio is kind of messed up, and I don't remember that ever happening on any other games. So I feel like it might just be this game with loading stuff. Also, with the way that there's also sometimes where the textures would kind of like blink out of existence, or there would be little spots where the textures weren't loaded in at all. Just weird like blank areas. They're usually tucked away in weird corners and stuff where it's like maybe they didn't expect you to look there, but like I saw it. The campaign definitely isn't like, it wasn't perfect. There were times when it was like kind of loading stuff, kind of weird, and it was a little janky. So it's definitely not perfect. But then again, there's also the big elephant in the room that we should bring up. Online connectivity. You have to be connected to the internet to play this game, which for multiplayer is fine because whatever. I mean, playing with bots would be nice, but how often do you really play Call of Duty with bots anyways? I know I don't really do it much. The option would be nice, but not sorely missed. If it doesn't have that, that's fine. There's also no multiplayer thing with playing with bots or whatever to like, there's no local and there's no like learning how to play that, like, to just test out different guns and stuff, whatever. You don't have that there anymore either, although I think the firing range might still let you do some of that, maybe. I didn't play around in that too much. The other thing is that, like, with zombies, again, the idea that you can't play that online kind of sucks because the other games have zombies modes that are still fun to play solo, and if you can play by yourself and save and quit and resume whenever you want, why the hell does it need to be connected to the online? And for that matter, the campaign. Why the fuck does a single-player campaign need you to be connected to the internet to play? And the answer, I believe, is something along the lines of, well, we had this stupid texture streaming bullshit, so that actually if you're playing it, you have to stream the textures to your system so that you'll have the high-res textures, because we can't compress them to make them smaller and make them just fit on your download, so your download would just be horrendously large, because hundreds of gigabytes of space is not large enough already, even when they're doing this stupid shit. Let's not even go into the fucking whole whatever thing right now, but yeah, you have to have that internet connection for that, and so that's obviously a big issue, because that means that the game is just kind of on a timer here. It's on borrowed time. I don't know how long you'd be able to even play it at all, because without internet, it turns into a whole big wasted chunk of gigabytes sitting on your console. So that's a very big thing I think is probably worth mentioning. And also, I don't really care for the weird fucking advertisements for go buy our other games, and here's fucking Battle Pass and other, you buy, you get in-game currency to buy shit for every fucking mode under the sun. I don't want it. I mean, they kept it out of the campaign at least, but they're like, buy our other games, buy skins and bundles and loot boxes and bullshit and multiplayer and zombies. You want to unlock cool shit? You want to get more of the stupid fucking gobbledygook bullshit? Go ahead and pay us real money for it, asshole. I know this game was $60, but you know what? More was it $60? Maybe this was $80. I didn't buy it. I got it for free. It was a gift. So they might even have been more for this fucking thing. And it's like, you know how you paid all this money to play this game that you can't even play without internet anymore? That you have like bought, you basically are renting until we decide you can't play anymore? Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll definitely support it forever, maybe. Unless we don't, or something happens, or whatever. But yeah, pay more money to get more shit in the game that you bought. How about we gave you a very expensive store for you to buy more things from? Fuck off. So, I know it doesn't sound like it after all that, but I do think this game is pretty good. It just has that big caveat, right? If you're looking to play this right away, like you're looking to play the online, get it now, and you'll probably get your money's worth. If you're going to play a lot of online, a lot of zombies, I think it's going to be worth it for that. They're both pretty good. Not amazing. They're going to be kind of thrown away to the side, and maybe you want to wait for a more remarkable experience for either one, if not both of those offerings, in another Call of Duty coming in the next however many years, because they keep putting them out yearly. But for the campaign, wait, okay? It is not worth paying this much money to buy a campaign that you don't really get to keep. Wait for it to be older, where more of these games come out, so it gets a price drop, and wait for it to go on sale, which these games hold their price a lot, and that sucks, but especially with this little caveat of you need to fucking have internet for this, you need to be on their servers to do this shit, it's hard to recommend that. Wait for it to be cheap enough to be worth your time to temporarily play through a few times before those things potentially get shut down. It might not happen. I realize they're a big company, they can keep it up as long as they want, but do they want to? Is it worth it for them to do that? I don't know. And hey, whatever the fuck, as a bonus thing, we're already here. I'm already like pissy. Can we go back to it? Yeah. So this launcher thing, I couldn't just download, I could just get Black Ops 6. There's no like, I look at my menu and there's a Black Ops 6 in my game list. They don't even have that. You have to get the stupid ass Call of Duty launcher, which itself is how many fucking gigs. And yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I was wrong. Cold War is on here. Why they didn't tell me that when I was looking at it on the page with Cold War, I don't know. But yeah, they have this shit here. It's like fucking, I don't have any of these other games, so it's like, hey, do you want to go buy this shit? I mean, eventually, probably, but I don't like this. I don't like the idea that every Call of Duty game is just going to be an extension of my fucking Call of Duty launcher. That's gross and shitty. And if they're going to do it all online, do I even get the next Call of Duty game? I don't know if I bother. For the new one, I'll have to see how these ones go, too. I don't know what these are doing, either, so we'll probably find out. But, yeah, Call of Duty 6 is only in this fucking thing. I hate it. Don't do this. It sucks. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Call of Duty Black Ops 6? I've heard some different things about the campaign, some different, different perspectives. Some people think it's pretty awesome, while other people think it's like ridiculous. I've also, I'm curious what you think about some of like the other stuff, like the multiplayer and the zombies. I've heard some people kind of still hate the zombies, especially like, diehard old school zombies fans don't really care for it. But I'd be interested to see what you guys have to say about these things, especially with me playing so many of these games and trying to think about them in context of the franchise and everything. But that concludes our Black Ops series, at least for now. We'll see if I go forward with any more later. I don't know. Well, you'll find out soon enough, because eventually I will be caught up. They're not going to be putting out a Call of Duty game every week. So I'll probably eventually be able to have some level of caught up. But next, my thought is maybe give it a shot, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Give that one a shot. But let me know what you guys think, because I also have some cleanup to do for some other stuff. I have some more World War II stuff to hit. I do eventually have to hit World at War. So my plan right now is to do the Modern Warfare reboot trilogy, do some cleanup of the other odd stuff, and then do some of the World War II stuff that I missed, or whatever, the more real war-y kind of stuff, instead of all this craziness. So that's and then maybe the first Call of Duty. That's the roadmap for right now, if I am not burned out by that. But let me know what you guys think, what you want to see, what you really, really want. And, yeah, more of this. If you hate Call of Duty, to tell me to play something else. Tell me what it is you'd like me to review, but don't just leave a comment and be like, yeah, I know this whole Call of Duty thing, anything else. I vote for not that. don't be that. But yeah, if you want to do a comment that's helpful, the option is there. Otherwise, I mean, I might still respond to it, but if it's not helpful, I don't know. I don't know how productive this is going to be a use of either of our time.